Paul Skenes has officially gotten the call to the majors by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Matt and I are breaking him down and much more on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominic Martino. You can find me on Twitter at DomMartinoFB. Here, as always, with my brother, my co-host, my partner in crime, Matthew Ane, and you can find him on Twitter at Matthew_Ane. If you're listening on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you could do that for us. And if you're watching on YouTube, you hit that little bell below. It subscribes to the channel and gives you notification every time we drop a new episode. And lastly, but most importantly to Matt and I, guys, join us on the Subtext platform. On Subtext, it's a personalized, in-depth experience through text messaging alerts right to your phone. And you can find the link to our Subtext on the bio to wherever you're watching, or available on all of our social media platforms. And today's episode is brought to you by Monopoly Go. Game off. We got to talk more about Monopoly Go. This fast-paced game lets you team up with your friends for tournaments to unlock awesome prizes like unique stickers for trading, cool playing pieces, and hilarious emojis for taunting your friends. So download Monopoly Go, now free on Google Play or the App Store. Game on. And Matt, I'm super excited. Paul Skenes coming up to the bigs, one of the most anticipated debuts in a long time. Matt, you just excited as I am, or what, brother?
I am actually, and I'm really excited to just really dive in and talk about who Paul Skenes is and what you should do with him in regards to that. Even though he's already superly owned, he's 78% owned, but you go out there and you look at if he's even relatively available in your league, you need to go out there and get him. Bottom line. But let's talk about it because it's kind of news more than a must add at this point. 6'6", 235 big body man. Probably one of the hardest throwing pitchers in the game right now. Highest velocity rotation member. Almost in baseball history. It's actually ridiculous. Skenes has a four-seamer fastball that reaches 102.1 miles per hour. He also has a sprinkler, and it's bananas, right? So that if you guys don't know what a sprinkler is, it's a splitter and a sinker combined. It's very close to like Yohan Duran's pitch, and it's 95 miles per hour, I might add. So incredibly fast, and the movement on it is just bananas. He has a slider that's in the mid to high 80s, and he has a soft changeup too, which runs about 88 miles per hour. And he also has a slow curve. He's a well-rounded pitcher that is just going to be phenomenal the second he gets up. I have no doubt in my mind. And what he's doing in the minors this season is just absolutely bonkers too. Like he's thrown 27 innings, has 45 strikeouts, a 0.99 ERA, and a .915 WHIP. The kid has all the talent in the world. He's going to be a high strikeout, low WHIP dude, and going to be an absolute elite talent, probably right out the gate. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he comes out the gate and just says, yo, guys, I'm going to take Yuri Perez's start and then just put that to shame and then some because I'm Paul Skenes and I'm the best. And this kid is just going to be ridiculous. So Paul Skenes, if he's out there, but this is more of a news talk being how much he's already owned. But Paul Skenes, incredible. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, Matt, phenomenal breakdown there on Skenes. I really don't have too much to add since, this guy is the most anticipated pitching prospect since Steven Strasburg. And Steven Strasburg went on to have a pretty awesome career, man. Three-time All-Star, World Series champion, World Series MVP, even threw in a silver slugger. And Paul Skenes could actually swing the bat a little bit too. Not that he's ever going to get the chance, but, just amazing. Go, it's a pause the podcast type moment. Make sure he's not available in any of your leagues and make that room if he is available. But let's move on to somebody Also, quite a little bit excited about. Let's talk about Gavin Stone. Gavin Stone, came up last year. Mixed bag for Gavin Stone, but a guy who does have elite talent, has a good minor league track record, has that prospect pedigree, and got off to quite mediocre start this year, and that's kind of putting it kindly. Through his first 4 starts, he only had 1 start that was anything noteworthy, but Gavin Stone has handled his last 3 starts very, very well. On April 26th against Toronto, 7 innings, only 2 strikeouts, gave up 1 earned run, had a .57 whip. And then Atlanta in his next start on May 3rd for Gavin Stone, 6 innings, 5 Ks, only 1 earned run, had a clean 1 whip. And then his last start, May 8th against Miami, 7 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 earned run, and a .86 whip. Now, I don't think Gavin Stone's ever going to be a huge strikeout guy, but if he can keep the earned runs down and go 6, 7 consistently on this Dodgers team, I really think there's a lot of upside here. 41% owned on Yahoo for Gavin Stone. He's up 15% over the last day or so. So I think this is a guy that, if he goes out in his next start against San Diego, it might be San Diego, looking like it might be San Diego he lines up against, and dominates, it's going to go up to 75, 80%. So I think it's the preemptive, if Gavin Stone's available, especially with the way pitching has been, you need to go out there and get this guy right now.
Yeah, Gavin Stone. Great take, Dom. Gavin Stone is somebody we're touting to start off the season. Started off pretty nicely and then kind of teetered off, but to be to be expected essentially. So if he's on the upward climb, let's scoop him up now while it's hot. I'm gonna move on. Let's talk Daniel Hudson. Um, you know, Closer now for the Dodgers after Evan Phillips has now gone down to the 15-day IL for hamstring injury. And quite honestly, he needs to be added because to be able to go out and get the saves for that team, they're going to come in plethora essentially. And he already got one today as we're recording. So Tuesday for us, no, Wednesday for us. I don't even know what day it is anymore. And Thursday for you guys. So go out there, add him. He's going to be the guy that's getting the high leverage situations. He was already going up as a setup man, so he instantly just walked into the high leverage situations and getting the save opportunities. So Hudson is a must add right now, and you can't leave those saves out on the table or for somebody to turn it around and use it against you.
Yeah, no, of course, great take there, Matt. And Hudson's been a guy who's been doing this for a long time, 37 years old. I don't think the longevity is going to be there. Phillips only supposed to be down for 14 days on the IL, but you never know. Today's day and age, they could come out tomorrow and say the guy's done for the whole year, and I would not be shocked. So as Matt said, you don't leave a guy like Daniel Hudson on the table. 32% owned for him. We got to go out there and make that honestly 75%. Oh, Matt, hop back in, brother. Of course.
Also, too, hammies are tricky. So when a guy goes down with a hamstring injury, I mean, it could be the 14 days, but if it turns into a strain and they do a little bit more testing, it could be longer. It could be 4 to 6 weeks. It could be he just has a setback, and we could see him for 30 days. So Hudson, I mean, right now has the potential to at least earn you a save or 2 a week over the next 2 weeks at a minimum. That's the floor, and then it could be even longer. So, yeah. But all right, yeah, Dom. I guess before we go on to these rest of these guys, you want to hit this ad? Coming up, we got Hayden Wessinger, Braxton Garrett, Nick Pivetta, and a whole bunch more of these names. And we actually pitcher heavy this episode since
Yes, sir.
pitchers are just out there right now. And we need to capitalize on it. So we'll stick around for that. We'll be right back after this.
And we are talking eBay Motors, passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is what also keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more, whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you'll want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. And then, guys, I've been told I'm a competitive person. You think that's true? Okay, well, I have a competitive side, and we all do. My competitive side is a big fan of Monopoly Go. I'm sure you heard of it. It's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly, where you play on not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with my friends, like my brother Matt, and I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly. But now I can also rob their vaults of riches for myself. And the leaderboards show me who's on the biggest Monopoly tycoon. But it's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all around the world in time tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. And guys, are you tired of watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch over to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for your everyday to bring you the biggest stories without all that screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And then, once again, Matt and I were introducing that Diamond Club on Subtext. Guys, you got to really get on that Diamond Club. You know, the link is in our bio, wherever you're listening or watching. Also available on social media platforms. The Diamond Club is going to be your ultimate fantasy baseball companion this season. You can rely on us for dynamic content, get real-time alerts right to your phone, including waiver wire rankings, instant call-up notifications like Paul Skenes, injury reactions, and a whole lot more. Stay ahead of your fantasy league by joining the Diamond Club on Subtext, where the path to your victories begin. Subscribe now and elevate your fantasy baseball experience to a new level. Oh, wow. That is so much talking, Matt. That is a lot for me, my brother. So, why don't we get on this pitching frenzy train again and just get all these names out for the people?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk Hayden Wessinger. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his name right. It's a
Yeah, it was
tough one.
Nesky. You got it. You got it.
Wisniewski. I feel like it's like Monsters Inc. and it's Michael Wazowski. Uh,
I love
you
that.
know.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna put my boo outfit on here. But anyway, Hayden has been, serviceable. Today he went, so like he's probably not an ad today, but maybe going into next week, depending on the matchup. But he's been pitching very well. Even today against the Padres, he went 6 deep. He had a 4.5 ERA, gave up about 3 runs, but had 3 Ks, got the quality start still, and had a 1.33 WHIP. So he's not killing you in WHIP or ERA. Was able to pump out the QS, so that's great. But the week before was really nice against Milwaukee. He had 8 Ks through 6, gave up no runs, had a .79 WHIP, and got the QS, and then was able to go out against Boston in 4 though, and a 2.25 ERA with a 1.5 WHIP. Like he's a mixed bag of tricks. Like if how long they're going to let him go into games, whether it gets high up on the pitch count, whether they just say, okay, he's going to be more like an opener and they're only going to let him go 4. But ultimately, the way I look at Hayden is I'm going to go out there and I'm going to see, okay, is the matchup good? Then I'll add him. I don't think he has long-term play, but he's definitely somebody that's going to be super serviceable against a good matchup until he proves otherwise. While he's pitching hot and he's got his game, I'm going to start him. But if it's a really brutal matchup like the Dodgers or something, I probably will bench him or drop him for somebody else because I don't think he'll get as scooped up as quickly. So he is an ad, just not this week.
Yeah, Matt, Hayden Wisniewski's an interesting one for me. So I might agree to disagree because I do like some of the points that you made. But Hayden Wisniewski, if you guys played fantasy over the last couple of years, he's been somewhat useful. I know the numbers on the surface last year don't look great, but there were a lot of stretches, where he would go 5-6 starts and look really strong. So, at 26 years old, we're talking about prime of career. If you listen to, our episode yesterday with Josh Lloyd, and that's a great listen. If you guys don't know about Josh Lloyd, one of the best in the business at fantasy sports in general. So go check out that episode from yesterday with him where we talked about, age. And Hayden Wessinger, 26, getting right to that prime of his career. If you go to his Baseball Savant, we always talk about Baseball Savant. Basically, you go to that website, red looks good, blue doesn't look as good. a lot of red. The fastball looks really good. The breaking stuff is really good. Throwing that sweeper about 40% of the time, fastball about 38% of the time. Guys are, swinging and missing at it. They're not hitting it at all. It's just that sinker that's really getting hit, but he's not really throwing it that much. So, I'm very interested to see what happens with Wisniewski and the way that pitching is. If you can get a guy like this who's only 20% owned on Yahoo, I think you're winning. I think you're winning. Even if it's just a juice to orange ride the wave, we got to see what's going on with him. Let's keep things pushing, though. Let's move on to another great starting pitcher. Let's talk about Braxton Garrett. And I kind of just love to see, him and the guy we're talking about next. We're getting some of these guys back from injury. We've dealt with these injuries all year. It's been no fun. And we're starting to see some good starting pitchers come back. Braxton Garrett, 50% owned. Another guy who's just been, pretty strong over the last couple of years. You can't really deny the results. I remember, at the end of the season, a couple of years ago, I believe it was in 2022, where he really came on strong at the end of the year, but I think it was a couple of starts against bad teams like the Pirates, maybe the Nationals, and I really wasn't fully buying in because it wasn't a guy who had a lot of prospect pedigree. But you know what? Came out last year, Braxton Garrett, 3.66 ERA, gave you 30 starts, 159 innings, 156 strikeouts, had a FIP that aligned with his ERA. FIP is an ERA indicator, kind of tells you, where his ERA should be, and it was right on point. In a 1.14 whip, so he even took a step, in the right direction as far as control goes too. Braxton Garrett, 26 years old this year, another guy right in the prime of his career. I really, really love Braxton Garrett. And honestly, Matt, you're a Braxton Garrett guy. So why don't you come in and get some talk on him?
Yeah, no, I mean, you covered him very well.
Thank you, sir.
I can't say much more other than that the dude just honestly, I think is somebody that is low key could have some long term potential, but also too
Yes.
can have some elite potential. I actually had him going into the season ranked in my top 40. I was all about Braxton Garrett this year. I think he was actually even sneaking into the top 36. And
Yep.
yeah, I'm super high on him. I think he's just
I like
like
him.
the steps he's taken. So I've been on Braxton Garrett probably since like 2021. And then I've seen him kind of progress and trend in the right direction as I like to see what young pitchers do. And now we're at a point where it's like, okay, last year was like, yo, next year is going to be the breakout. Unfortunately, started off hurt, but now I think we're going to see something. It may be a little rocky to start off, but then it's going to explode. So add him now if he's available. I think he is widely open. Have we set his ownership percentage, Dom?
50% owned.
Okay, so he's out there still in those 50% of leagues.
Yeah, get him on. That's got to be 80% owned. 80% owned.
At least. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, I got nothing left to say other than I give him a vote of confidence. Let's move on to Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta, was dealing with elbow soreness, came back today, which is Wednesday, getting rocked right now against the Braves. But, I mean, who doesn't get rocked against the Braves in all honesty? Gave up 4 runs. But, it was a rough outing for him in general. But honestly, I'm going to add him. What he started off with doing early in the season through 11 innings looked nice. Had the 1 win, the 13 Ks, 0.82 ERA, but a 0.82 WHIP. I mean, you can't go wrong against that. I'm scrolling back to who it was against. Pitched against Oakland and somebody else. I can't get the thing, but Pivetta is somebody that I think honestly I've always liked. I've liked him more than I liked Zach Eflin. I thought he was the better pitcher when he was on the Phillies. He just always had something about him. He had good stuff, and I always just said, okay, this kid's going to eventually break out. And I really do think this kid is going to be good. And to boot, he has a FIP of a 223. Yes, it's a sub 1 right now, but obviously through 11 innings, that's clearly not going to be. But a 223 FIP, I could totally buy. If not, I really think he's really going to be a 3.5 by the end of the season. And Nick Pivetta is going to obviously let up the scoreboard with a boatload of Ks and just have a grand old time. Nick Pivetta is a must add, even though he's already pitched today.
Yeah. No, I'm in agreement with you there on Pivetta, Matt. Pivetta is just somebody who kind of, I think Boston, over the last couple of years has kind of helped him figure out what kind of pitcher he's going to be. And then even last year in 2023, as a 30-year-old, which you really don't see often, he took a very big step in the right direction, which kind of unlocked the talent we kind of knew he always had. 4.04 ERA last year, 42 innings, 183 strikeouts, and a 112 whip. You love to see it. I think Nick Pivetta should be owned. He's 80. Actually, I didn't realize he got up to 85% owned. Wow. So he's not really available to too much leads, but I think after the bad start against Atlanta today, he's somebody that you can go out and trade for. He's somebody that you can go out and, probably get a decent deal on at the moment. But let's before we actually move on to the second part of this episode, and we got some really good hitters that you need to get on your teams. We do have one more quick ad break for you guys.
Here we go. PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks. You pick more or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Exploring my skills on PrizePicks this season adds an extra layer of excitement to daily fantasy sports. With just a few taps, you can transform $10 into $1,000 easily. PrizePicks is incredibly user-friendly. You can make your selections and submit your entries in less than 60 seconds. And as a host of Locked On Fantasy Baseball, here are some great picks for you. Just go out there and bet on Ryan Mountcastle to have higher than 0.5 total bases in the next game. We totally know that's going to happen. Opt for Shohei Ohtani to have higher than 0.5 home runs in his next outing. Again, you did it over the weekend. You do it this week. It's bound to hit. It's a no-brainer, lock and go. And then opt for C.J. Abrams to have higher than 0.5 stolen bases. We all know that dude can steal everything. He's the king of Mr. Steal Your Girl. So download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. And yeah, so Dom, why don't you lead us off? Talk about your favorite player.
Yes. No, my favorite. I didn't even know he was my favorite player. But let's talk some Jonathan India, man. Jonathan India is somebody at second base. I thought he was going to be a sneaky pick. I kind of had him. I like around maybe like a 20th second baseman. Just thought there was some value there. Playing for the Reds. Got off to a bit of a rocky start, then got hurt. So there might have been something there with that. Because honestly, since he's returned, India has looked pretty good. India on the season, like you might look at those numbers and say, I'm not messing with him no more. But last 2 weeks for India, 308 batting average, a steal, 7 RBIs, 2 homers, 2 runs. Second base tough. Second base has been a really bad position. 52% owned on Yahoo at the moment. He's been hitting leadoff. They kind of been experimenting with him since he's come back from injury. 4th, 6th, 5th. But I think this guy has a home in that Reds lineup, and that Reds lineup is pretty solid, especially for fantasy baseball purposes. Jonathan India is somebody I think he's a pretty solid at the moment.
Yeah, India's performing, and his team is doing good. So, I could totally see the value for now. Do I buy it? He's one of those guys that's like the polar opposite of Corbin Carroll, but where you win the Rookie of the Year and then you completely collapse and your career falls apart at age 25. But Jonathan India is somebody that, should be added now and juice the orange, ride the wave kind of type player. And once he dies off, he dies off. It is what it is. We'll vote him off Survivor or something. But let's move on. Let's talk about Jorge Polanco. Polanco is performing right now. I like what he's doing so far through the last couple of weeks, not the total season numbers. Last 2 weeks, 6 runs, 2 bombs, 5 ribs, 1 stolen base, batting .216. Yes, the batting average is atrocious, but he's hitting bombs, he's getting ribs, he's contributing in, categories that, are going to give you a boost. He's not an everyday starter. He's also not a first half kind of player. He's usually more of a second half kind of player if he actually can manage to stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay healthy for the last couple of years, unfortunately, where he's had, 375 at bats, 302 at bats, and in the last 2 seasons. But if he makes it to the second half, there could be something magical. He just is good once the second half comes. I guess he's loosened up. All-Star break. I guess he, maybe has fun with his baby mama, or, just goes to some mental retreat or something. And then Jorge Polanco just goes and just dings off 20 home runs in the second half and bats 275 and just does his thing. So Polanco, it could be somebody that you could keep an eye on. I'll add him while he's hot, drop him when like he's hot when he's performing. And then second half, he might be a speculative ad during the All-Star break. to somebody that might have some future aspirations for me. So Jorge Polanco, and now.
Yeah, man, I like Polanco as well. And the awesome thing is to see he's healthy. Polanco's a guy who's dealt with a plethora of injuries, over the past couple of years. But the last time he played a full season back in 2021, I know it was the juiced ball, but he hit 33 homers, had 98 RBIs, 11 steals into 269. I don't know if Polanco can get back to, the 33 homers, but can he hit 25 plus with a bunch of RBIs hitting third consistently in a very good Seattle lineup? Yes, and I love to see it. And he's turned it up recently. Has had a couple of strong games, over the past couple of weeks, couple of 2-hit games, homers, RBIs. It looks like things are starting to click for him. And as Matt said, big second half guy for Polanco. I don't know if I'm waiting until he really heats up to add him, because at 46% owned already, Polanco is, somebody that has second and third eligibility on Yahoo, could be pretty valuable if he really gets it going. Let's keep things pushing here. Let's talk about Johnny DeLuca. Now, Johnny DeLuca isn't somebody I keep things very honest with you guys. Johnny DeLuca is not somebody I'm super familiar with, but, I see the name. I see him heating up over the past, week. Has 3 2-hit games, has a game with 4 RBIs, has a game, 2-3 RBIs games. The guy's getting it done right now. So when you see this kind of production, even if it's just a speculative ad, you go get the guy on your team and you juice the orange. You kind of just you ride the wave until he's not waving anymore, and then you move on.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know what? Like, you did a great job. I actually want to say one thing. Add him now, ride the wave, like Dom said, and then it is what it is. Yeah, I can't really think of anything on him. I don't know him either. And it's not even like I don't even know him. Like, I can't say I know the guy across the street. I just don't know him.
Let me hop back in here, Matt. Let's give the fans a little bit better of a due diligence here. So Johnny DeLuca has, a pretty decent, minor league track record with the Dodgers, has a bit of power with, a couple 20 home run seasons, couple of 2020, almost 2 2020 seasons, got a little bit of speed there too. I like the batting average track record here with DeLuca. So there might be something here, actually. We might have something. So it is a guy that, if you're in a deep league, a 5 outfielder league, stuff like that, DeLuca's 16% owned, you definitely go out and take that shot. I'm not doing it in shallow leagues yet, but those leagues where you really need it and he's out there, go out and get him.
Yeah. Well done. Kind of talked me into him. I want to see if we could do it in the
Talk
bigs.
myself into him a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's not somebody like I'm thrilled to go, since he's kind of floated under the radar for so long, but who knows? Let's talk about our last guy here. Let's talk about Alex Verdugo. Verdugo's starting it off hot right now. He has on the season, 120 at bats, 19 runs, 6 doubles, 5 bombs, 17 ribs, a stolen base, walked 17 times, so 14 strikeouts, batting 275, an OBP at 362, a slug of 450, and an OPS of 812. This last week has been monstrous as well. 6 runs, 3 bombs, 10 ribs, batting 333. It's funny. It's never really fully come to live up to his upside, Verdugo, where I think he has a level of power that we just never seen. And it's just always been so middling and whatever. I don't know. Maybe he likes the Yankee Stadium a little bit more. I kind of think he might thrive here. I don't think he's gonna be a long-term play, but I'm definitely gonna ride it while it's hot. Yankees are flowing on all 4 cylinders, and it's just, hey, this kid's taking advantage of it, and hey, that short porch might be doing it for him too. So Alex Verdugo right now is a must-add.
Yeah, man, I'm with you here on Verdugo, and it's just so interesting with him because he was the key player in that trade for Mookie Betts when Betts went over to from Boston, and from Boston to LA, and Verdugo never really lived up to the hype in Boston. He had some productive seasons, but never really I got traded for Mookie Betts type season. Maybe it happens with the Yankees. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but 5 homers already in 34 games. Maybe we get that 25 home run season with maybe we get 10 steals out of him, and that strong batting average, that he has produced over his career 281 hitter. So Verdugo is somebody that I really think out of all of the bats we talked about today, he might have the most promise, and he's been hitting cleanup in that Yankees lineup lately. You really love to see it. So Alex Verdugo, our 53 33% owned. Might be my favorite bat we're talking about today. Matt, I did throw one sneaky guy here out at the end. I don't know if we want to talk about him. We talked about him before. I'll just throw the name out again. Just kind of a due diligence. Ceddanne Rafaela is somebody that I personally really love. I talked about him, I think, last week. He had that 4-for-4 game, and he's been on a hitting streak since then. Hasn't really fully broken out yet, though. You know, it's like a 7-game hitting streak, but I really still think he's on the verge of something here. So at 27% owned, shortstop eligible, and outfield eligible, Ceddanne Rafaela is somebody that I'm really, really looking at here. Has prospect pedigree, power, and speed here too.
Yeah, no, I like Rafaela. We've talked about him a few times over the season. You know, it's always interesting. Is this going to be the time? When is he going to break it open and start letting it loose and start letting it seep out from the the prospect pedigree? Who knows? Maybe it's now. But yeah, with that being said, Dom, great take, and I'm going to get us out of here. And I'm going to say, guys, please like, subscribe, comment, rate, review. I will not be here tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have a wedding on a Thursday. That's weird. So Dom is going to be here, Dolo, taking care of it. We're going to have prospect talks, some IL guys to stash. So stick around. We'll get you through the weekend. And who knows, maybe there'll be more call-ups. So it might be a very important episode to listen to. With that being said, guys, have a great rest of your day. Peace out.
See ya.